Hey, Amy,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amy Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amy Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. For those of you listening on the audio portion, please make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Rate us, write us a review, spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us comments. We love engaging with you guys on the show. And most importantly, make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. I know it's been a very long time since we last talked to you guys. But look, in the interest of full disclosure, both Amy and I got a little busy with life, and we got busy because we were covering Dodger games. We were at a lot of Dodger games during this past homestand, and we just didn't have time to record. So now that the Dodgers are going on the road, we have time to record and we have time to talk to you and talk about a lot of Dodger baseball. Amy, ¿cómo estás? Long time no see.
I know you forgot the most important part. We had a Cinco de Mayo baseball miracle on Sunday. Not only did I get to see you, but we got to see AJ Padilla, the guy who created our wonderful song. So
that is very true. That was awesome. So Amy and I were working the game, Cinco de Mayo game, in a press capacity, and we ran into AJ. Well, actually, I think Amy found him first, and then Amy,
of course I did,
dragged poor AJ over and said, "You got to talk to Juan." And so it was great meeting AJ in person. As I said, I've had people come up to me and say, "Hey, man, where can I get the whole beat?" And in AJ's words, that is the whole beat. It's AJ created that piece of music specifically for our show, and
it's short and sweet and to the point.
Which a lot of people wish I would be, but yes, it was great meeting AJ. Amy, we got a lot to cover because when we last left you, the Dodgers were in Arizona, and there was Beegate. There was a B delay. So
oh my gosh, I already forgot about Beegate.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a really long time since we last talked, since we last did a show. So one of the things, I think the last time we talked, it was Chicken Little time. The sky was falling.
I had all stocked up on chocolate to calm you all down.
And so when we last did a show, they were in Arizona, and I think they were showing signs that was the very beginning of them turning things around. Well, don't look now, but the Dodgers have won 14 out of 16, and they have a 6.5 game lead over the Show Pods, who they will be playing this weekend. Amy, where do you want to start? I mean, do you have any thoughts on Beegate since we didn't get a chance to talk about the B delay?
I'm trying to even remember where I was that Beegate was that was the Tuesday game, wasn't it? It was because I was covering John Suhu's art walk that he has at City Club LA downtown. And so I was really bummed that I was going to miss the starting of the game. And then we heard midway through that there was a delay. Nobody knew what it was. I was like, is it rain? Like, is it scheduled for rain in Arizona right now? And got in the car, and right when I got in my car to leave to go home, they announced the game was about to be on, and it was delayed due to bees on the field. So there's that.
I still, according to Joe Davis, because when I first saw that, I was like, how did nobody else notice that there was a beehive when they were doing batting practice? But according to Joe Davis, that thing came together with about 20 minutes before the game started. Right. And I still had a hard time believing that, but I was there.
I don't know that it's necessarily a hive, other than they had a spot that they were like, yes, this is our new spot. We're moving in. And did you hear the guy actually got a Topps baseball card?
I did. I mean, the guys I'm sure he's going to get a bobblehead. I mean, that guy milked and all the attention he was getting. He milked that thing and he was a little bit of a showman. When he threw out that first pitch. You could tell. I think he had a desire to be a superstar.
Do you think, would you prefer to have the showman on the field, or would you rather have the guy who's like, let me just suck up all the bees and like get down off of this riser that they put me on and then like slink off into the night? Or would you rather have the guy who showboats and throws a pitch off the mound and, starts the game?
Honestly, I think we got both, because he went up there with like one of those Ryovac. He got basically a vacuum cleaner. And he said, and look, before everybody, those bees were not killed, because I know we have an issue with bees being extinct. They were, now where they were moved to. I was not aware that you use a shop vac to get rid of bees. That was the first time that I saw that. So
they're moving on up to the east side. Moving on
to a deluxe apartment in the sky. Oh, moving on up, moving on up. You brought that upon yourself. That is your fault.
I apologize to all of our listeners. I'm so sorry.
That was you. You can't expect me to not join in. I mean,
if
I wish I could dance like George Jefferson. I wish I could do the George Jefferson dance, but I can't. Exactly.
If you want me to take a base running blunder on that, guys, I will. My bad.
What was interesting was my dad called me, because my dad's like, wasn't the game supposed to start at 6:40? Like, why isn't the game on? And I had told him what was happening. And my dad's theory was that the queen bee, not Beyonce, but the queen bee probably went up there. And
you don't know her name. You don't know her name.
And that's why the rest of the bees went up there and they swarmed so quickly. So, shout out to my papi for, being a National Geographic star and being able to provide all that knowledge to me. But look, the Doyers won 2 out of 3. They could have very easily have swept that series, but that game went late. And I remember watching it with my daughter, and even she was starting to get tired and she couldn't hang when it went into extra innings. And I'm like, I stayed up late just to get walked off like that. But look, the Doyers were showing signs in Washington. They did great, and they won the series, and that's really all you want them to do is win series. But when they got home to face a big series against the Bravos, I mean, this is the team that everybody at the beginning of the season was picking to be the class of the National League. Amy, how much of a statement did the Doyers make by sweeping the homestand? They went 6-0.
That was a big deal. And it's so funny because they're so humble about it, right? Like, there were tons of media questions about like, well, is this like a playoff atmosphere? Like, how do you guys feel? And it was like playoff, postseason, playoff. And every guy, doc, anybody that was talked to was like, it's just another game. Like, yes, of course it feels great to win, but like, kudos to them for being humble and just staying focused on game at a time. Like, yeah, I'm sure it does have some playoff feelings, but like at the end of the day, it is just another game on the road to hopefully eventually October. So I like that they have their eyes on the prize.
Look, I know you are the queen of positivity, but I'm going to ask you this. Were they really being humble? Because I got to tell you, I feel that this Dodger team, they are savages. I was not expecting a sweep of the Bravos. And you were with me. You were with me at the game when I asked. So we were at the James Paxton game, Amy and I asked Roberts if there was a chance, because in that 7th inning, things could have gone really left for James Paxton. And he was able to get 2 outs, but then Adam Duvall came up to the plate and he pulled him. And he brought in Mariachi Joe. And I was sitting there thinking, and I asked Dave Roberts after the game, I said, was there any chance of you leaving him in and letting him get out of that inning, get out of that jam? And I know a lot of people, especially my Doyer friends, when they heard me ask that question, you know how positive my Doyer friends are. They're like, dude, of course he's going to take him out, because if Duvall ends up hitting a home run, Roberts is going to get killed on Twitter. And it's like, why did you let him pitch to Duvall? Right. And sure enough, what did Robert say to me? He was just like, he basically said what my Doyer friends were saying, was like, he didn't want Adam Duvall with one swing to make it a 1-run game. Now, Amy, the reason why I asked that question was because, to me, his answer proved they wanted to sweep. They wanted to win that game. And I know a lot of people.
They wanted to win the game anyway. Like, no one wants to lose. But, like, I guess in your question to me, were they really being humble? I feel like, yeah, because they let their bats speak for themselves on the field. Like, they don't need to be cocky because they're showing up and they're playing. So I don't know, like, they're not coming out and being all arrogant about it. And to me, I appreciate that in a baseball player.
Yes, in that sense, they weren't bragging about it. It wasn't that, but I get the Dodgers, I feel, get this rap, and because we heard it all weekend, and you heard it more than I did, it's just another series. It's just another baseball game, right? Making it feel like it didn't mean much to them in the end because we're just playing out. It's not as significant as everybody's making out to seem.
Why does it have to be mutually exclusive though? Why can't it be both? Why can't they be humble and approach it as one game at a time, but also be like, dude, we just swept the series against the Braves and be excited about it, even if they don't necessarily, they're not braggadocious about it in media scrums. Like, I feel like the two can still be true.
Right. So my thing is why can't they just admit we wanted to beat them? We wanted to sweep them. They play it off as it's just like, oh, it didn't mean to us. It was like, no, you were like, I feel Roberts has been managing with urgency this whole year. I mean, for them in the middle of April to basically be platooning guys because they're not performing. Like, we talked about this on this show before, where I feel like, they're going to give these guys an opportunity to come out of their funks. And by the middle of April, like, Roberts is already like, hey, you're not hitting, I'm going to put somebody else in there, right? So I do feel like there is a level of urgency, and everybody always says, well, the Dodgers are so businesslike, they're calm and steady. But I feel like there is a level of aggression to the Dodgers, and it's probably low key because you're right. They don't come off as braggarts. They don't come off as peacocks, but there is a level of savagery that I believe is underneath this team that I, for one, I loved. And I hope we see that in the postseason.
But why can't that be business-like too? Like, it takes all types of personalities and types in any setting, business, baseball, whatever. I don't think they, in my opinion, I don't think they need to go out and brag about that. I think they can want to crush their, the rival team, but at the same time, they can still go about it, be like, you know what, my at bats, my fielding, that's going to speak for itself. And as far as platooning, there's a lot, I think, that goes into it. Obviously, we're not privy to a lot of those front office conversations. It could just be trying to save some of the players too. Like, I'm sure the at bats definitely factor in, but we've already lost a couple players, like Jason Hayward's out. Like, we also want to make sure we're giving these guys rest. We're seeing Muncy get more rest. And in turn, even Shohei had that day off. I think he had that Friday off. And he showed up better. And Roberts even said that, I think on Saturday or Sunday, that rest was a big factor in how the players are able to show up. So maybe they're tired of hearing everybody bitch on Twitter, social media, or whatever, and they're listening and they're making those adjustments. And now that they are, it's like, I don't know. Everybody has feelings about it, but I think I like how they go about things. I would like to see more of the playful mentality that we're starting to see with some of these guys. I think that's the one thing I'm missing on my side.
I mean, look, there's so much good that happened on this homestand. The one thing I've always been saying is that Gavin Stone, the big thing with Gavin Stone is consistency. And I really thought we would be going back and forth with him. Like, he would have one good start and one bad start. But man, he has really impressed me this year. And you could probably say that really the only bad start that he had was the one in Chicago against the Cachorros. Because other than that, especially on this homestand, what he did against the Bravos and then what he did against the Marlins of Miami, Like Gavin Stone, to me, I hope he can keep this up, because he is, if he keeps this up, and I know Walker Buehler came back and we're going to talk about that, but for me, what Gavin Stone has done on this homestand, if he keeps this up, this is what you love. And that is, you're going to make it really hard to send that guy down, because that guy, the way that guy is pitching and he's performing, it's like he's saying, I dare you, send me down, because you can't send me down because you need me. I mean, for him, 7 innings against the Marlins, and it's just
and six innings against Atlanta. Like he made it pretty far into both games, considering, you know, what we're expecting of him. I think in this case, he, like, you can even see like the walks and everything are down on the team too across pitchers. There were a couple games in there where I was cringing for you because I saw the use of like 4 or 5 people from the bullpen, and I was like, oh, one's probably just, his hackles are up. But they managed to keep it to like 1 inning each, and so, you know, I think we're trucking along pretty good. I was highlighting my notes earlier, and we have at least 3 7+ inning games. We've got, you know, 2, I think 3 6+ inning games. Like, I think they're on a good trajectory at this point. And that's not even bringing in Treinen coming back on Sunday and pitching a great inning. He had a great inning back. 0 hits, runs, walks. He had 1 strikeout, no home runs. He has a 0 ERA as of Sunday. And then even just, I don't think, you know, you weren't there on Saturday, but Shohei Ohtani passed Dave Roberts, Japanese player on the Dodgers, home run record. And the media was treated to Dave Roberts' story in the morning in the dugout about the gift that Shohei Ohtani bought for him. And it was a car. However, it was a little bit smaller than I think what he was expecting. So I'm in the dugout thinking, like the Zoolander quote, I'm sure you can, you know, like, it needs to be at least 3 times bigger. So what is this, a car for ants?
Ants, exactly. Exactly.
So lots
but
of
you
good
were
came out of
there.
that series. Mm-hmm.
You were there when Roberts gave Shohei the car, right?
No, so he got the car before the game even Saturday. He already had it. He was just waiting to tell the story. Like, he was chomping at the bit.
I thought in the post game on Saturday, Roberts came out when in the post game interview.
He did show the car in the post game interview, but we already knew about it.
He didn't give it to Shohei. He just showed him the car.
He was like, so okay, guys, I told you the story in the morning. Here's my car.
Got it. Okay. I thought he had given him the toy car back at that point in the post game.
He's keeping that. It's on his desk. And I think the hopes are, well, not the hopes. I'm sure he's not hoping, but the question did go out of, like, you know, if they win the World Series, there may be a Porsche waiting for Doc.
And we all know, though, we found out that weekend when both you and I were there, where that idea for that car really came from.
Yes, Miss Kirsten Watson. And I think they mentioned that in the post-game interview on Saturday evening. So she was given her flowers, and then, you know, there were other sources.
To Will Ireton, go ahead and putting Kirsten's business out there. I mean,
and Miss Watson at that. Miss Watson.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Miss Watson. You are for real. I did not realize how loved she is by the Japanese.
Oh,
the Japanese loved Kirsten. I had a conversation with her on Tuesday, and I was just like, hey, do you know how much the Japanese fans like love you? Like, and then she's just like, everybody keeps telling me this. And so she is so looking forward to, I know nothing has been announced publicly, but that the Doyers are going to be playing in Japan next year. So she's just like, I'm so happy if we get to go to Japan. She's going to be able to meet her fans, her huge fan base that she has in Japan. It's fascinating. The only thing I will say about the Bravo series, and like I said, I think the starting pitching, there's a stat here, Amy. You combine the starters and the bullpen and what they've done in this 16-game stretch, their combined ERA is under 2. And I know you make fun of me every time I say this, but I say I need 6 innings. I need 6 innings. I need 6 innings from my starters. It has no coincidence that because the starters have gone longer in games during this stretch, the bullpen has pitched better. The bullpen's ERA is under 1 during this stretch.
0.89.
It makes a difference when you limit the innings with that bullpen.
Well, they're fresher out of the pen. They're able to control the ball a little bit more. So when you are up against those late innings potential, if you don't have the insurance runs, closer games, it's, they're able to operate better in those high leverage situations. And then that just opens the door for our players to step up, especially if it is a closer game. Like, let's say Friday's game where Andy Pages walked off the game. Was it? Yeah, it was Friday. We went into extra innings, the 11th inning, and he got his first career walk-off. Like, kudos to him. Great job.
Yeah. Look, the other thing that I realized, and I don't know if you had noticed this before when you're at the stadium, Amy, but I noticed it when we were there on Sunday. Everybody had been telling me, dude, when the ball comes off of Shohei's bat, it's a different sound. And I was just like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But that Sunday when he had 2 home runs on Sunday.
9 and 10.
I finally understand what people are talking about when they say the ball sounds different coming off of Shohei's bat, especially that home run that he hit to left center. It sounded like a cannon it just got shot off, because I was like, damn, because the minute he hit it, I didn't even know where it was going. But the minute he hit it, I looked up and I went, what the hell was that? And it was Shohei.
Was that when you were looking up from your scorebook that you were keeping score on?
Yeah. All right. I'm going to own up to it, because
okay.
Even one of our listeners, Roland called me out on it and said, and I wonder where Roland got this idea from. Roland sent me a message saying, I know it was for work, Juan, but this is a live nerd alert. Where did he get live nerd alert from, Amy?
Oh, I might have posted it because I took the picture. I might have creeped on him. He was a couple seats over, and I had to lean over somebody inconspicuously because I was like, is he? He is. Oh, this man who makes fun of me and my scorekeeping and my highlighting.
No, there's a big difference. There is a big difference, madam. You walk around with your scorecards. I keep absolutely a scorecard in your purse.
There's one. I have more than one purse, and there is one in each of them because I don't know which one I'm going to have on me.
That is a nerd. That is nerd behavior. That is nerd behavior.
100%. But from somebody,
I was doing it in the press box while the game was going on. Once the game was over, you never saw it again.
No, because they provide us with scorecards, but that wasn't good enough. You had to use your own. Oh,
hey,
Mr.
I like to support my local Big Five, okay? I went and I got a scorebook from my local Big Five, and now I have all.
Oh, well, that tells me all I need to know because those have gone down in quality. So.
Now you cannot blame shift here. Don't.
Oh no. That's why I have them, and I don't.
A nerd.
No, I'm saying that's why I know I'm a higher tier because I won't use those because at one point they started swapping the balls and the strikes, and it's not like in the traditional format, and so I won't use them anymore. I'm like, what is this? Nobody plays the game like this. What is this? A book for ants?
There we go. Exhibit A. I present Exhibit A. So yes, Roland, I own up to the fact I had a live nerd alert, but it's nowhere near as bad as Amy's.
Oh no, I hold the crown. Hold on.
Yes, Amy holds the crown, and she's on a different tier, as she said. Look,
I knocked you off your.
You knocked me off my pedestal. The last thing I'll say about that Bravo series, though, Amy, and we do need to acknowledge this. Right now, the Phillies of Philadelphia are red hot, and a lot of people are saying they're the team to beat right now, the way they are playing. This Bravos team, I think the Dodgers got them at a very good time. They don't have Spencer Strider. Chris Sale right now could probably, you can argue, is probably the Braves' best pitcher, and the Dodgers didn't see him in this series. So, and a lot of the Bravos players, some of them offensively seem to be struggling. Acuna played well in the series, but Olsen and Riley, some of the big meat and potatoes guys for the Bravos, they're slumping right now. So
and kudos to our pitchers for that too, though, because
they still had to, and like this homestand proves, any minute someone can break out of it and the momentum can turn. I mean, it is still an accomplishment to sweep a team, especially a team like the Bravos, who had come in with the best record in Major League Baseball. But I do just want to acknowledge that I also feel that the Doyers got the Bravos at the right time. We'll see when they go to Atlanta, if the Bravos look any different. But a lot of times you catch teams at the right time and you benefit. So in a sense,
that might be, what do they call it?
Go ahead.
I think they call it baseball.
Yeah. So I mean, it was one of those things, but I do think it was impressive that the Doyers ended up with the sweep. So now let's change gears and let's talk about this. The Marlins of Miami coming into town. Now, the Marlins of Miami have been struggling. If it's not for the Rockies of Colorado, you could probably say the Marlins are one of the worst teams in Major League Baseball. But the Rockies of Colorado say, hey, hold my Coors.
Well, really, they're like a game apart. Colorado is 9-28 and Miami's 10-29. So
I expected, especially the way the Doyers were playing, coming off of a sweep of the Bravos, that they were going to do good again. They were going to do well against the Marlins of Miami. Now, the offense has been really, I mean, just spin the wheel. I mean, pick whoever you want, because it seems like it's a different guy every day. You have Shohei hits 2 home runs. Muncy hits 3 home runs in one game, and then he hits a grand slam in another game.
You got Ohtani. Ohtani was the NL Player of the Week last week. And to your point, yes, Teoscar, he's leading the team in RBIs. He's second behind Ohtani in home runs. Like,
yeah. So even I know we're not spending a lot of time talking about the offense, and the reason being is what the pitching has done in this stretch, I just think requires more attention, because we saw Walker Buehler come back for the very first time. Amy, what were your expectations on Monday? Because you were at that game on Monday, right? To see Walker Buehler's debut. What were you expecting?
I didn't have any expectations. I started to have some, and then I was like, let's tamp it down. The guy hasn't played since 2022. Like, I don't want to put that on him. He doesn't need my expectations on his shoulders. I'm sure he already has that. He already said, he had the butterflies and whatnot. I'm sure he's happy just to get that game behind him. But I mean, he went 4 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs. He didn't walk anybody. He did have 4 strikeouts, 1 home run against him. But I mean, he had a couple rocky moments, but then he leveled out. And I think he even said in the scrum afterwards, I wasn't there that day. I don't want to put that out, but basically that, he got tired after the second inning, or like in that second inning forward. And for somebody who he prides himself on being in shape, and he was even surprised how tired he was coming back, because there's nothing, you can't simulate a real game atmosphere. And so to be back in it, I think there was a rocky moment where he was covering first and he bobbled the ball, but then they threw out the runner at second. So like everything kind of worked out. And I feel like he had a pretty good start, considering he hasn't pitched in a while. And it's a big stage. It was a big night. It was Star Wars night at the stadium. Like, that's a lot going on, but good for him. I think he had, a good return back. Hopefully he can build it up. I know he did say there's going to be a challenge finding a place in the rotation. And I think that kind of goes to your point earlier about Stone making a case for staying up. So I don't know. What did you see when you were watching it?
First of all, I need to know, did you get the Millennium Falcon? Do you have the Millennium Falcon?
I wanted it, but I didn't. No.
All right. Look, I know everybody was hoping they could get 4 innings out of him. I think the idea was maybe between 75 to 80 pitches, I think, is what they were aiming to get out of him.
Which is what he did. He did 77 pitches. 49 of them were for strikes.
Yeah, so I know for a lot of people, people were joking around, at least in my circles, is Buehler just a glorified opener, But look, I think I know Roberts was very encouraged.
Wow, your circle it's cutthroat.
I told you those guys, you got to have thick skin. And it's not because we're fat. You got to have thick skin to hang out in my group. But
my circle was like, you know what? I'll be happy if he makes it 4. Let's see what he gets. We were just like, come on.
You could very easily in my group and just sit there and go, do you guys even like baseball? Because all they do is spend time bitching and moaning about baseball.
Do you like baseball, bro?
Exactly. But I think the thing, I know Roberts, I think everybody was encouraged. And I think what was encouraging to everybody was his velocity, because there was a couple of times he was hitting 96 consistently. And you weren't seeing that in his rehab starts. So I think that's where everybody got the encouragement. Like I was a little worried when he was getting hit by the Marlins, that I was like, this is the Marlins. If he's getting hit by the Marlins, what's going to happen once he goes up against a really good Major League Baseball team?
This is where you and I are opposites. Because I was like, it's the Marlins, not great. But also teams rise to the occasion of playing the Dodgers. So I was like,
No, I was a little worried. But Ryan Yarbrough came in and did what Ryan Yarbrough does, man. I mean, this guy is an unsung hero. He will just come in and give you 3 or 4 innings. He shuts it down and he saves the bullpen.
And then he fades back.
Yeah, he saves the bullpen. So, like for me, I guess I had to. If Roberts and everybody else is encouraged by this, I am very eager to see. He's going to pitch against the Show Pods this weekend. I think that's going to be a really good test for him, because the Show Pods are a team. They've made a move. They just recently acquired Luis Arraez. And, they just beat the Cachorros in Chicago and gave the Cachorros their first home series loss of the season. So I know the Show Pods are 500, but I feel like that record is deceiving. And they've won 3 out of 5 against the Doyers this season. So they have a winning record of them. And we all know they get up to play the Doyers. So I think this is going to be a great test for Walker Buehler when he pitches on Sunday, because he's going to be on the road. He's going to be against a team that is amped to beat them. I want to see what he does against that Show Pods lineup. I feel like what we see on Sunday is definitely going to tell us more than what happened against the Marlins of Miami. So,
sure, it'll be a good indicator, but he's still coming back. Just like we needed to give Yamamoto some time to warm up. Give the guy a little grace.
No, and I do want to be clear about that. I do expect that it is going to take a minute for him to. I don't think he's going to look like the old Walker Buehler. The one from 2018 ain't walking through that dugout. But I do think if he pitches consistently and keeps the Doyers in games, I do hopefully expect him to get better towards the end of the season. And that's, in the end, that's what you want. I mean, I think he is notorious for being a slow starter.
Well, and I think one of the articles I was reading was like, when he gets back to being an ace, and I was like, good for you mentality. Like, good for you, like shoving aside Yamamoto and Glass. Now, like, I don't mean this condescendingly, but like, it's good to have goals. Like, if that's where he wants, but like, I know it sounds condescending, but like, if that's where you want to be at, good for you. Keep your eye on the prize. And all he can do is keep getting better. This is one game out of many that we're going to hopefully see him in. And, between him going 4 innings, which I think is great for him for a first start, you had Yamamoto go 8, his first 8-inning game as a Dodger on Tuesday. Like, just amazing.
The Yamamoto, I was at that game, and
yes, you were.
his efficiency, he threw 20 strikes in a row. And what I loved about that game is in the post game, Robert said, when they had asked him, were you thinking about, sending him out there for the 8th? And Robert says, yeah, it was a no doubter to send him out in the 8th. So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, see, that's the key, is be so good that you don't let Roberts think about things. And look, the decision, they make the decisions for themselves. So,
well, because I was wondering, because I was watching that game at home and I was like, it's the 7th inning. Are we going into the 8th? Like, are we going to see him? Are we not? And then he walked back out there and I was like, Look at you, Yamamoto. Way to go.
But I agree with Roberts. I mean, at that point, I think he had like a little over 80 pitches. It's just like
he was so efficient. Like, well, I mean, look at his line: 5 hits, two runs, earned runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts, 2 home runs. But he's still sitting at a 2.79 ERA, which is amazing after Korea. And as we've watched
and
it
his 45,
steadily
his 45 ERA in Korea.
I mean, but you have to stop and take a minute. That's impressive.
No, Yamamoto has been great. It also helps that the Marlins were playing like a bunch of Dominicans, where it was just like, we don't walk off the island, we hit our way off the island. I mean, the Marlins are very aggressive. And look, Amy, before we wrap things up, I want to end with this.
I've got 2 points before we end.
Okay. The game on Wednesday, the Businessman Special, was under 2 hours. Like the games,
it was an hour and 55 minutes.
The games in the Marlins series, I think the first 2 were a little over 2 hours, and then we had the Businessman Special that was under 2 hours. Amy, I was at the Boiling Crab, on Monday. All right, we were celebrating my niece's birthday. I watched the whole Dodger game at the Boiling Crab. At the Boiling Crab, I watched the whole game. By the time we got our food, the game was ending, Amy. That's how fast these games are moving. Do you like that? Or was this just a one-off? It was just the Marlins? It does feel like during this stretch, the games have been moving.
It's not a one-off because Sarah Langs actually posted, we had 5 straight games of 2 hours and 25 minutes or shorter. And the last time we've done that, there were 2 separate games of 5-game streaks like that. That was in 1980. That was the year I was born. We had 1 stretch in July, 1 stretch in June. And the only time we've done longer than that was a 6-game straight stretch in 1977. So it's been a while. And I know that there have been changes in the game. That's why it got longer. Now that we're doing the pitch clock and now it's shorter and everybody's happy. I just think it's a neat stat. Yeah.
I know probably Concessions isn't happy about it, but for me, I love that these games are moving. Like I said, I think the Marlins of Miami had a lot to do with it because those hitters, man, they walked up there hacking.
Well, two of those games were against the Braves too, though. So we had 2 games under 2.5 hours with the Braves. So I will say this. I have 2 other just little, I don't know if you want to Care Bear stare them, but Lux hit his first home run since 2022 on Tuesday. So congrats to Gavin Lux. That's got to be a good feeling coming back and finally, getting the bat on the ball. And then Pages on Monday had a little bit different stat. He had his first walk in his 18 games since coming up to the big league. So in all those games he's played up to this point, he never walked. So these I love unique numbers. And that to me was like, wow, 18 games. Like I've been kind of keeping an eye on it and he's had that 0 under walks all this time. And Monday was the day he finally walked.
Yeah, the Gavin Lux. So we talked to him after the game on Tuesday when he hit that home run, and what cracked me up about Lux was he
grinning.
He was doing his best to hide how happy he was, Amy. You could tell, like he was sheepish. He was like putting his head down and be like, yeah, it feels good. It's like, can you imagine? I mean, because he struggled. Like,
this is the humanity in the game, though, that I love. I'm glad you were able to see that because, I
was right in front of him. I almost wanted to sit there and be like, bro, just smile, man. Just let it out, enjoy it, because who knows when you're gonna hit another one, man. Just have fun.
No, don't say that. Give him a hug instead. I know we can't, but
he totally threw Austin Barnes under the bus too, and he was just like. He's like, yeah, I felt good because at this point, I think it was just Barnes and I who hadn't hit a home run on the team. I was like, bro, why does Austin Barnes got to catch a stray there?
That collateral damage, just innocent bystander, just crime on crime.
And you know what I've been seeing a lot, Amy, is, everybody's like, well, it's early in the season and all that stuff. And they're already bringing, what are they going to do in the postseason? It's like, look, when the postseason comes, we're all going to get tight. You know, right now, let's enjoy this because
Thank you.
winning 14 out of 16 and seeing how this team is playing. And what's crazy to me, Amy, and let's end with this, is as well as the pitching has been, look, they had some injuries to the bullpen. You got Mariachi Joe is on the bullpen, on the injured list, excuse me. Evan Phillips is on the injured list. Brazier's on the injured list. Gratterall. Those are high leverage guys that are playing, that are going to play important roles in this bullpen.
We got to talk to Evan Phillips on Saturday, and that was just like he just like stepped wrong, essentially. Like,
yeah,
it's. I mean, it's a calf injury. It's not a throwing.
That was Sunday. I don't want to get a base running.
Was that Sunday?
Yeah, it was on Sunday.
Oh, you were there for that too. Oh,
yeah.
My
remember?
Bad. Yeah,
remember.
I remember.
I was right behind your trenza. I was there.
Oh, that's right. Hey, thanks for telling me to go back. I didn't want another base running blunder after making you sing. So
hey, no problem. Oh, wow. Okay, I see how it is. But yeah, look, I mean, it's really fun. But what I was going to say is, offensively, I don't think they're even clicking on all cylinders yet, which is, I think, the crazy thing. Like, they might even play better. But look, right now, you know, I know everybody's talking about the Phillies of Philadelphia, but don't look now. The Doyers are like a game behind them for the best record in the National League. So, I mean, we may take this team for granted, but just enjoy it right now, guys. And look, I know that we went a long stretch this week without giving you guys a show. So don't worry. We're going to play catch up now. The Doyers are going on the road. We're gonna hopefully try to be a little more consistent. But look, guys,
hey, we're still dropping episodes this week.
That's
slow
right.
Slow your roll.
That's right. Any last words? Anything else you want to say, Amy, before we sign off?
To all the people who are still chicken littling a little bit in their own way, do you even like baseball, bro?
That's beautifully said. So for those of you guys listening to us, make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. Write us, rate us, leave us reviews, spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification button. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us comments. Do you agree with what we said? Do you love my musical stylings? Do you want me to continue to sing on the show?
It's okay, guys. You don't have to cop to that.
Make sure you're following us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amy Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You have been listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. Amy, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.